Welcome back to the Crypto Trends Podcast, where we cover all things cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and AI. I'm Robert Croak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Armando Pantoja. Both of us and our amazing team are excited to bring you the best information, guidance, and strategies each and every Wednesday. So follow along and always remember to take notes and take action. So let's get into talking point number one. ETF approval for XRP. The odds are rising, and this is really becoming a big news story. And for those of you that haven't been keeping up, Polymarket, the predictive market platform that we all follow, now puts the odds of an XRP ETF approval at 81% or higher for 2025. That is a massive jump considering where sentiment was just a few months ago for XRP. So Armando, let's talk about it. We use these predictive markets, Kalshi and Polymarket, as a way to research what the consumer sentiment is, whether it's on an election, a cryptocurrency, an ETF approval. And I love this strategy for really trying to get ahead and look where the minds are of the retail investor and the everyday person. So walk our audience through it a little bit. What does this mean, having the ETF approval, and your thoughts on these predictive markets and where they're at relative to seeing XRP ETFs happen?
Yeah, so XRP ETF, there's big approval, odds that it could happen on the next year. Polymarket has it at 81. A lot of analysts have it around 60, 70%, so it's probably highly likely to happen this year. But the key here is that we saw what happened with the ETFs with Bitcoin. We saw what happened with Ethereum. And it actually boosted each one of those up, somewhat, but not, it didn't go up exponentially, 30, 40, 50%. But XRP is different. XRP is the only token or coin token, whatever you want to call it, that's been held down by the government.
Yep.
And by the government approving or accepting an ETF proposal, it shows that the government is moving forward or away from the SEC problems that it had in the past. So I think this is going to benefit XRP more than it benefited Bitcoin or Ethereum. And I think this is almost like the government turning a new page with XRP, and it's going to signal to the investors that it's a bright new day, and maybe XRP is one of the best investments in crypto, which we've always thought it was before Trump got elected.
Yeah, and one thing that I always like to remind everyone that's listening and following along is these price moves are never random. If you look at the chart, XRP was lagging the rest of the market for a very long time. We saw the big bump up once Trump was, elected as the president and leading up to the inauguration. And so we're seeing a lot of buzz around this ETF approval process, and really this could be the catalyst that wakes XRP up. You and I have been saying for a very long time that we believe in this bull run. XRP could see $8, $10, $12, $25 a piece. And I think all of this plays into that, where we finally get out of this situation of the unknowns because of the SEC, the lawsuit, the settlement, and all of this. And I think seeing a clear regulatory path will also help XRP finally break free so we can all see what it really does.
Yeah, we saw XRP go from 30, 40 cents to where it's at today, all because of Trump getting elected. And in the hope that Trump's election would clear up the regulatory issues for XRP. Court issues haven't been 100% cleared up yet. Yep. That was all on the hope. So imagine what's going to happen when the ETF gets approved, and also the lawsuit is 100% clear and resolved. That's when the XRP is going to go from where it's at now to $5, $6, $7, maybe even $10 very rapidly. So like I said, is that SEC legal battle and not being resolved is still a wild card out there. But the ETF does have a lot of potential, and I believe they're going to approve it for the end of the year. And those odds are continuously rising.
Yeah, I saw that Bloomberg analysts quoted that they believed there was about a 65% chance of approval by the end of 2025 for the XRP ETF. And so while the odds are strong, we still have this regulatory uncertainty for a little bit longer. But I always look at it this way. If Grayscale is pushing for this XRP ETF, I believe it's going to happen. Just like when BlackRock gets involved or any of the really, really large institutions, generally they have so much pull with the government and Congress and everybody else that they're going to get their way. So I'm not even concerned. I'm easily with the poly market predictions of over an 80% chance that this XRP ETF gets approved. So let's go over something real quick before we move into our next point, and that is about everyone up in arms over Ripple chairman Chris Larsen has sold XRP tokens worth about $116 million in 2025 alone and in recent months. And I just want to talk about this for a minute because people really struggle with putting things in perspective. We saw last week with SoundHound, for instance, when NVIDIA sold off their stake in SoundHound, SoundHound went down like 30%. People had a knee-jerk reaction, and they don't even realize that their SoundHound holdings for NVIDIA was so incrementally small that it really doesn't even move the needle for NVIDIA relative to their market cap. And it's the same thing with Chris Larsen selling this XRP. It is such a small portion of what he owns, and I don't think it really matters at all, and it is not a reflection at all on where XRP is going, because everyone wants to always take every headline and look at the negative, and then they sell and sit on the sidelines, and I think it's a huge mistake. So do you have any takes on this? Because me personally, I see it business as usual for XRP, and I believe in Chris Larsen's case, he probably was just taking profits, and people don't read between the lines, is that a lot of his sales went to Coinbase. And people don't realize that. He didn't just sell it and put it in his pocket and go buy a yacht. A lot of these funds went straight to Coinbase and some other platforms. And so people just need to learn to think deeper, read deeper, and do the research before they have these knee-jerk reactions.
I mean, he could just be diversifying. He could just be buying a plane, buying a new house. I mean, like, people don't, just because somebody sells an asset does not mean doom and gloom.
Yep.
And I think what happens is that you have people who don't have access to information. It's almost like the stock market or the crypto market is a black box to them. So, and people are naturally negative. So
Right.
when they see an action that they can't, you really understand what's happening, they just automatically assume it must be negative. And then people panic, and the smart money takes advantage of that panic, and they make a lot of money on the way back up.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen with NVIDIA, probably starting Tuesday. But I just think that it's any overreaction. I mean, we don't know why he's selling. More than likely, it's not because he knows something, but he's just selling to just as a strategic move.
Well, it happened last week, too. There was all the headlines and all the rage around Warren Buffett selling off his entire position in the S&P 500. So he sold all of his VOO and all of his SPY. And I thought it was interesting because everyone was up in arms saying, oh my gosh, should I get out of the S&P 500? Warren Buffett sold his entire position. So I did the math for everyone, and make sure you understand this. That position that he sold off and reallocated those funds was 0.01% of his entire portfolio. So that would be like a common person selling $20 or $40 worth of stock and putting it somewhere else. And everyone had these huge reactions like, is the S&P 500 going down? And the answer is no. Everyone needs to learn to read between the lines and make sure they understand the information ahead of them. So let's get into talking point number 2. Hedge funds are over-leveraged on Ethereum shorts. And so I want to make sure everyone understands Ethereum short positions have increased over 500% since November, hitting record highs. And I think that really just means institutions and traders are betting heavily against Ethereum. Now, normally when we see that, it means traders expect Ethereum to drop. But here's the problem. If Ethereum moves the other way and breaks resistance, all those short sellers will be forced to buy back in. That is why I don't try to time the market. That is why I'm a buy and hold strategist and why I do it my way. And what happens when you have billions in leveraged shorts all needing to buy at once? A parabolic short squeeze can happen. So let's talk through that a little bit and break it down of what is happening in the market relative to that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been confused for the last 3 months. I was like, why is Ethereum not where it's supposed to be? I actually said in a previous episode that I believed that we'd be at all-time highs in late December, early January. I was wrong. And like I said earlier today, I was like, it doesn't matter. You and me wrong sometime, but the key is to learn why you were wrong, or 2, If you're right most of the time, you're still going to make a lot of money.
Yep.
I was always like, why is it not at all-time highs by now? It's way behind Bitcoin. And now that I know that this shorting is happening, it makes a lot of sense now why we're behind. So, and the interesting thing about this is that the shorting is being done by smaller firms and individuals. And I think that it's a bias against Ethereum. They think the Solana is going to replace it. They think another chain is going to replace it, but it's a misunderstanding of how technology works. Every 3 years, we're not going to have a new chain. That doesn't make sense. People are going to stick to what they built on.
Yep.
That's the reason why we still have Windows computers. And I know you have a MacBook, but Windows is not the best operating system. It's just the most widely used. The thing that's really interesting to me is that Goldman Sachs bought 20 times more Ethereum during this time. Fidelity, Grayscale, they all upped their Ethereum exposure over the last 2 weeks. Institutions don't buy this aggressively unless they see something coming. So they can see a short squeeze condition starting to come to play, and they're putting their money down to take advantage of this. They can see it clearly that a short squeeze almost has to happen after this. If Ethereum is depressed lower than it's supposed to be right now, and there's massive shorting against it, it's almost imminent that this is going to be a short squeeze condition. This morning, actually, Ethereum was up 4%, and for the week it's up, I think, 8 or 9%. So it could be already happening.
Yeah, I think one of the ways to look at it is so many people in the market, and I get it. You have to really, when you're investing, whether it's in cryptocurrency, stocks, or whatever it might be, you have to look at the opportunity cost. And with Ethereum lagging behind many of the other cryptocurrencies that we're buying and we're talking about, I could see a world where it makes sense to pull your money out of Ethereum and go elsewhere. Solana's been on fire because of the meme coin craze. Ondo Finance, so many of these other coins have outperformed Ethereum. So from that perspective, I think it makes sense. But for the long-term perspective, I still think Ethereum is a really good long-term play. And the only thing I've done different in recent months is rather than dollar cost averaging more Ethereum, I have put that money elsewhere where I believe a better short-term gain is to be had. And that's totally okay with people as they're rebalancing their portfolios, is to go more bullish on the things where they believe they can make more money in the short term. But I still believe Ethereum is a great long-term play. Let's get into talking point number 4, exchange outflows and the rise in buying volume. And that's just really, in my opinion, another bullish signal because Ethereum exchange outflows just hit a 23-month high. And to me, that means that more Ethereum is being pulled off exchanges, which typically signals long-term accumulation. And so here's the kicker. The Coinbase Premium Index is showing rising demand for U.S. investors. So while hedge funds are shorting Ethereum, smart money is buying Ethereum. So let's explain to the audience the difference between the two, because it does get confusing of who's right, who do you follow, and what is the best thesis for Ethereum moving forward.
Yeah, so retail and smaller firms are shorting it, but we see the big firms are betting for Ethereum. And we know how this story ends. What's going to happen is that Ethereum will break key resistance. The shorts will panic. It'll cause more buying pressure on the market. Retail jumps in because they see Ethereum going up, and that's a short squeeze situation, and that's an explosive rally. When Ethereum pumps, it just doesn't stop at Ethereum. Ethereum traditionally has always led the way for altcoin season.
Yep.
Then altcoin season comes in. That's when we see all the AI coins and all the things we've called out over the last year. They start to do well. Somebody asked me about Veracity this morning. Like, why is it not moving? Because we're not in altcoin season. When altcoin season happens, all of those AI coins and all of those other tokens that we've talked about over the year, that's when we start to see massive growth in those tokens. When Ethereum gets moving, liquidity will start to rotate around in the altcoin market, and that's when you start seeing 2, 5, 10, 20 time gains on those coins we called out earlier.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the number one thing I see in the crypto markets right now, I believe, is exhaustion. Everyone is in my DMs. I'm sure they're in your DMs. They're constantly asking,
Impatience.
where's this bull run? Where's this altcoin season? Why is Bitcoin not moving? And it just really is impatience. Everyone believes that when a bull market happens, that all of a sudden you're going to just see this hockey stick rise in every cryptocurrency. They don't realize we've been in a bull run in crypto for months. We have seen so much gains, but they just think that it's supposed to be that way every day, every week, and every month. And that's just not how equities work or crypto works. And then sometimes there are these laggard periods where they just don't move a lot. And right now that is mostly due to unrest and uncertainty. We have had so much going on in the political scene. We've had so much going on with China, tariffs, and everything else. People are uncertain of where the markets are going to go, and then that causes them to sit on the sidelines because they're not sure. And that really brings up my next talking point that I think is super scary and crazy that it just happened, but that is President Javier Milei and his risk of impeachment because of what he just did with the $107 million rug pull in Argentina. And I think we have to touch on this because he's facing calls for impeachment by doing this rug pull. And so many of these smaller countries have started to really get involved in cryptocurrency. And then to see something like this where someone would pump and dump and do a rug pull, whether it was intentional or not, again creates fear in the markets and causes people, countries, banks, and institutions to all fear that there's too many scams, not realizing that these same scams happen in the stock market, the startup market, the real estate market every single day. So walk us through it a little bit because I read up on it and I was shocked that this could happen, especially as good as so many of these smaller countries have been doing with their retail investments of Bitcoin. So walk us through it a little bit because I thought it was kind of crazy that this guy would do that.
Yeah, I was in Argentina, like 3 months ago. I spoke at a conference there. Argentina is not a third world country.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's actually it's one of the top world economies. And it's crazy that I guess Trump did it. So, but a president did a meme coin and then a rug pull, $107 million rug pull. And it's starting to get scary is that when presidents start doing this, I mean, are we in a place where just scamming is like free now? Anybody can scam and rug pull? Is that where our economy's going? Is that where our society's going? And like I said, he promoted it on X.com, which used to be Twitter. He actually called it a private initiative to help Argentinian economy. So people took that as we're going to, one, help our own economy, and two, we can make some money along the way. So it took about 11 hours for it to collapse 94%.
That's crazy.
And then the insiders got all the money, and on-chain data shows that eight wallets got almost $107 million out of that rug pull. And it's crazy that this stuff's happening. And I just think that something has to be done. I guess in every individual country, but this makes crypto look bad because these are high-profile coins and high-profile tokens. So somebody sees this and they say, well, all of crypto's a scam. So this has to stop, and I don't know how we're going to do it.
I want to unpack that a little bit further, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I believe truly that a lot of these don't start out to be scams. I think this is an educational awareness problem. So many of these people, Trump, maybe it's this Argentinian president, they don't understand what they're signing up for. So they say, wow, this sounds like a great idea. My family can make $100 million and I can use this money to do this. And then they don't realize that the insiders that are running the project for them are the ones that are perpetrating these rug pulls and these scams. So in their defense, I just believe that they just don't know, and there's an educational gap because even though now Trump is around Bitcoin and he's around cryptocurrency and he has this pro-crypto legislation and this government, that doesn't mean he truly understands the functionality of how cryptocurrency works. So I'm not defending anyone in particular, but I think it's definitely an educational gap more than it is just an outright scam. So I want to put that out there because I don't agree with it. I don't condone it, but I also know that a lot of people just don't understand what they're getting themselves into, and their handlers put them in harm's way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they don't really understand how liquidity works, how value is created. So and a lot of these people have egos. That's their positions. So if somebody comes to you and say, hey, you can create a coin with your name, don't worry about it. The value will hold because of who you are. Yep. I mean, they don't know. So they just sign up for it thinking that they're going to make a bunch of money and then everybody's going to be okay. And it just collapses because of the handlers.
Yep. Well, thank you all for stopping by each and every week and following along with the Crypto Trends Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Crypto Trends Podcast, on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if you find value in these podcast episodes, please give us a comment on Spotify, give us that 5-star review, and share it with a friend.